Hey gang, welcome back to the garage. Today is Friday, April 28th, 2023, and I am headed to Kentucky this morning. I've talked about it before. My brother had a 64 Studebaker Commander that has been kind of in our family for quite some time. This is a car that he fixed up in high school, and he's had it ever since, but he hasn't done anything with it for quite some time, and he passed away a couple years ago. My brother's widow had put it up in an auction, and I bought it. So I'm going to get the car today. It's at a friend's house up there in Kentucky, and I'm going to pick up a trailer and then start the drive. So if I see anything interesting on the way, or I have some insight as to anything happening on the road, I'll make a little video clip. But otherwise, stay tuned. Well, it was flowing pretty nice. I'm taking exit 2 to Interstate 24, and I've got a bit of a backup. So I am in Tennessee, and I'll just continue on, see where we end up. So I'm on 24. Camera might be a little shaky, lots of bumps in the road, but just wanted to show you these mountains. Pretty cool. Gonna lose that angle here in just a second. Maybe I'll show you again in just a minute. Okay, still have the vibration in the trailer. I figured out that if I do about 70 miles per hour, it goes away. But we're gonna cross over a river. I guess this is Tennessee River. So pretty cool. Hear stuff in the back of the Suburban kind of shaking from this trailer, but we'll just keep driving on. So this part of the trip, while scenic, is also difficult because it's all uphill. And you can see from years ago where they had blasted away rock to make way for this highway. And this was a pretty impressive thing. Back then, this is all solid rock, and then it just kind of disappears. And I'm sure they filled in the area in between the high points, let's say, to create a surface for the road. But this is a struggle, even with an empty trailer, just to get all the way over these hills. And of course, you have semi trucks that are having to drop down in gears to get up over the hill. There's some more of the blasted area. So I'm going to run this for a minute and try to get to a high point, let's say. Really rough road overall. More uphill. It looks like they've put some sort of netting over these rock faces up here. They must be having a lot of problems with rocks falling onto the road. So looks like they're trying to do some renovations or repairs, let's say. My goodness, going this slow. I say slow, we're doing 60, but that vibration is just really bad at this speed. You might even be able to hear it in my voice, I'm not sure. The fun part about going up is coming back down, and that's where I'm at this point. There's still another series of hills, I believe, but This part can be a little stressful because I know it points out the trucks have to be prepared to stop, and the grade is like 5% or whatever, so can't really see very much as far as scenery. You can see a little bit of the hills and the mountains in the background over there. Okay. Look how much my hand is moving. That's how much shake is coming in from this trailer. Well, I think I went through Nashville. My Waze app has rerouted me and put me on I-65 north to Louisville. So we can see the signage there. I did pass a building that said Gaylord Opryland. It was right on the interstate, and I don't know if that's actual Opryland or I don't know. I don't know what I'm talking about. I'm on I-65 north, heading towards Louisville, Kentucky, and I'm almost at a standstill. Hey, but the good thing is there's no vibration coming from the trailer anymore, at least not at this speed. But yeah, looks like a lot of construction going on in this area. The Waze app had tripped me a different direction, or sent me a different direction to bypass some congestion, and it looks like they found some more. So fun. So as I'm inching along trying to get to wherever point B may be on this route, I noticed there's a place here, Fireworks Souvenirs Outlet. That just doesn't look like a happy place. There's a sad clown on the front of it, and yeah. I'm not going to stop there. Well, I missed a sign, but there's a welcome center for Kentucky. So I am in Kentucky, and the vibration shake continues. Ladies and gentlemen, we are now passing the Corvette Museum and massive camper display, I guess. But yeah, there it is. I'm not going to stop there though. I stopped there previously. It was pretty cool. Looks like they got a big show going on. Lots of Corvettes outside. And the wall is in the way. Okay.
US 31W bypass, Fort Knox, Paducah. Use the left lane to keep left. Then use the right lane to keep right to Western Kentucky Parkway, US 31W bypass, Fort Knox, Paducah.
So exit 91B. This is the exit for Fort Knox, and that is basically where I'm headed. But the weather's become overcast. Hopefully it doesn't get any worse. But the plan is to spend the night up here and then load up the car tomorrow and head back. A little bit this way. There you go, right there. Back that way, just there you go. Just a touch. I'm just gonna put this here. Where it's.
Then just pull it and let it down?
Yeah, just pull that black piece up there. You know, these straps would probably work better for this if they'd been rolled up when they weren't in use instead of just
Oh yeah.
thrown around. The ends of these are super warped and wrinkled.
Yeah.
And I've never done it that way. I don't know if it makes a difference or not.
Hope not.
We'll find out, huh?
Yeah. Well, got the car picked up. I am now headed down the road, I-65. There's the cars on the trailer. The good thing is the trailer's not shaking, but I don't know that I want to go over about 60, 65 miles an hour right now. The trailer in the car, that's a lot of weight, and I'd hate to have to do some sort of panic stop. So I'm going to try to maintain a lower speed, and everybody's going to pass me like they are right now, but I don't care. So probably take more than the 6 hours that it took to get up here, but it is what it is. Updates later. As I'm driving down the road, we got a little bit of weather conditions, and I don't think this is it. I see this truck here. For a little further back, there was a car on the road that was apparently set up to be towed behind like a camper or something, and they lost it. The car was blocking the right lane, and there was a police officer there, so I'm looking kind of ahead, wondering if somebody driving a motorhome is missing a car. That's scary. If that thing had come off in front of somebody and they hit it, that would have been really ugly, but I don't see the motorhome as of yet. Passing the Welcome Center. Looks like I made it to Tennessee. So, I'm not sure how many miles I've driven exactly, but it's been a few hours since I started. And there it is. Welcome Center, Tennessee. Here I am. Let's make it to Georgia. Oh, the joys of trying to tow and come down a hill only to have somebody broke down and forcing you to use your brakes unexpectedly. I think I'm headed into the outskirts of Nashville right now. You can probably see the backside of some tall buildings. So I'm assuming that's Nashville. We'll give a little move forward here and see what comes up.
In 1 mile, use the right lane to exit right to US 31 E South James Robertson Parkway.
So it looks like there's a lot of congestion coming up. This is going to slow me down, I'm sure. It is what it is. So I'm pretty sure that's Nashville. Pretty sure. Oh, traffic. Yeah. So this should be a fun experience getting through all of this. There's the stadium, Nashville Nissan Stadium. I think it's where the Tennessee Titans play.
In 900 feet, use the left lane to turn left on Interstate Drive.
Sure, I can do that. So at this point, it's been fairly uneventful, thankfully. Of course, hitting big potholes and stuff is no fun. You end up being jarred around and wonder if you're going to blow a tire or something like that. So that's one of the risks you have with doing these trailers. And of course, I rented this trailer from an individual. It's not built like a U-Haul trailer or anything like that. And I will say that the vibration has diminished quite a bit. And it's not so bad at this point. But of course, traffic, yay. Well, I sure didn't expect this. It looks like there must be an event going on at the stadium today, and the route has me come off of the interstate to get into this mess in order to get on, I guess, I-24 East. So that's the mess they're putting me through, but I don't know any other way to do this. Usually Waze is pretty good about getting you where you need to be, and I'll just have to trust them on this one, but this could be fun getting through all of this, I guess, stadium traffic. At this point, I am 46 miles from my next interchange and 189 miles away from home, and I'm kind of trapped right now. I'm going up this long hill. There's a lot of traffic coming up in what would be the fast lane, and I'm over here stuck behind this semi-truck that I can't get around. So, yep, it is what it is. But overall, things are going okay. I have not stopped for fuel or food, and I think that's going to be my next thing to do, and we'll go from there. I am now headed towards what would be the Tennessee River again. Pretty much uneventful at this point, but I thought I would show this area because it's kind of cool. At least I think this is the Tennessee River. That's what it should be. I did have to go down some long grades of hills. Those were not fun, but I came through it relatively unscathed, I think. I also checked the straps on the car. I had one strap that had worked its way slightly loose, so I readjusted that, and everything is good to go. I can see over on that side there's a rock face, so I don't know how much they cut away in this area to make this what it is today. Over on this side there's a big camping area. Now, what's unique about the transition when you go from Tennessee to Georgia is there are sections where this road that I'm on, I believe, I think it's 24, but there are sections where it transitions back and forth. So it'll be Tennessee for a brief period of time, and then, well, for a long period of time, I should say. It'll be Tennessee, and then for a brief period of time, it'll say Georgia, and then go back to Tennessee, and then back to Georgia. So it's kind of an anomaly, I guess, in the layout of the state lines. And of course, there was a time not too long ago where Georgia was pushing for access to the Tennessee River to supply water to the Atlanta area. Apparently the river kind of acts as a boundary at some location, and the state of Georgia had said that the boundary lines were drawn incorrectly, and part of that river should be in Georgia, but it's not. You can probably look that up if you want. Big Daddy's fireworks. Hurry in. Somebody is getting special treatment. I don't know who this is, but that is not your average car or SUV. No idea. But they're getting a police escort into Atlanta, and the rest of us, well, we just get to suffer with traffic. Hopefully I can get through this and get home. I have about an hour to go, and yay. This is Atlanta. Okay, so the Studebaker is here. I went up to Kentucky, as you saw in the video, picked it up, loaded it up, had some help. I appreciate the help that I got, and I drove back. The trailer was less than friendly for me to use, but it got the job done, so I'm happy with that. Let me tell you about what's going on with this car. Now, I have a title from 1966,
that is actually in my dad's name, but my brother was the one who worked on this car and drove it. I had shared some pictures of this car, or at least one picture, where my uncle is sitting on a lawn tractor, a garden tractor, and this car is actually sitting in the background. And that picture probably is from about 1967. So, this car has been in our family at least since '66, obviously. And my brother liked this car. He fixed it up, got it running, and drove it while he was in high school and then later on. So, some unique things about this car is, if you look at the history of Studebakers, they had basically a Lark in 58, 59, 60, 61, 62. They had called it the Lark, and they had the Lark 4, Lark 5, variations of that. And then I believe it became the Commander. So this would have been under the Lark name, but it got various other names. So you had Commander, you had Daytona, which was a step up, and then you had one that was called a Challenger. And the Challenger was actually a 6-cylinder car. So in looking at this one, what I found is, from other people telling me, the interior in this car is the Daytona interior. But this car is not a Daytona. It is a Commander. Now, from there, somebody told me that it's probably a Commander Special. And if you look up Commander Special, they have this narrow trim on them, which is different than any of the other models. And I'm glad I looked. This trim is still laying in the back seat. So that would be probably impossible to find. So I'm glad I have that. Also, this car has the V8 emblem here, and the regular or lesser version would have had just the flags with no V8. Or no 8 in the middle. It had the V, I guess, to make the flags, but not the 8. So, in looking at the car, I know that it has a lot of problems. This quarter panel is probably the best panel on the car. This door, there's been some work done down here. There's a big patch overlapping. This is all Bondo. So I know I got a problem with this door. Fender, definitely a problem with it. All of these rusted back here, and from what I've learned, you can still get NOS fenders for these, anywhere from $150 to $250. I'm probably just going to replace the fenders, the front fenders. The grille looks like it's okay. I don't see any major damage there. I am missing the lower valance panel, which would go in there. I don't see the bumper brackets. Obviously, I don't have the bumpers. I do have the filler pieces that go around the headlights. They're in the back seat as well. And this fender, you can see the heavy pitting up here. There's a dent, and then you come down here, and all of this is a patch. So this is all bad. Brought it all the way through. Bottom of this door also has problems. I can pull out on it and flex it away from the inner shell. So more issues there. This quarter panel, I know there's a rust through right here, but probably saved this quarter, I believe, by the looks of it. So, the trunk lid. Well, let me just show you this while we're here. My brother painted this car, had it painted red. Not a fan of the red, but I was there the day this car came home from the paint shop, and it looked fantastic. It really, really did. This is obviously, I think that was in probably 1980, maybe? Somewhere around there, 80, 81. So this has been sitting outside for a period of time, inside for a period of time. And when I first started looking it over, I thought this was the original color right here. This is like a metallic blue. I knew the car was originally blue. But the more I dug into it and started looking, I realized this is the original color here. Got a better shot up front here. On this fender, yeah. And I took some buffing compound and buffed on it, and surprisingly it shined up, but that's the original blue right there. What I think is, my dad may have painted this car the metallic blue at some point, I don't know when, and then my brother had it painted red. The other thing I know is this roof, from the picture that I have, this would have been white, and that explains this piece of trim right here. I believe that's what they used if they had a two-tone or two different panel setup, or two different color setup, and this was their brake line. So I could probably dig into this, and I can see there's blue, but underneath it there's probably white somewhere in there. I believe that's accurate. I will do some research further on that to make sure, but the picture shows it as having a white roof. The trim, all stainless. For the most part, it's not bad. I mean, it's got dents in various places, and that may have been from when it was repainted. Rain gutters look like they're okay. Trim is okay. They stop there and then just become painted material there. All the front trim looks decent, and I'll have to figure out how to get all that off and, check the gaskets. I do remember my brother telling me at one point that the hood, I don't think it was this hood, I think it was the other hood for the car, came loose one time and blew up on him when he was heading down the road, and I think that explains the big dents here in the cowl. I really don't think it was this hood, because it would not have been this straight, and that may also have involved a breakage of the windshield. I don't know for sure, but I do remember him telling me that the hood did fly up. If you look at this hood, I can see there's holes in it where it probably had a Mach 1 style hood scoop on it, and at some point had some hood pins. The last registration or inspection in Pennsylvania was in 1981. There's the other V flags for the driver's side. These mirrors are not correct. I don't know what they are. I kind of like them. I mean, they look kind of cool. The Studebaker mirrors are just ugly. They're like a flat mirror on a post, not attractive. So I don't know what these are. If anybody knows, let me know. Maybe I'll put those back on, simply because my brother had them on there. Inside the car, it's crusty, definitely crusty. I'll say this: that is not the correct speedometer. That is the 160 speedo that was out of the '64 Daytona 4-door that we had up at this junkyard. And this car is also a Canadian car. This steering wheel should be all white. It's a little crusty, but it should be all white. And I can't get the door open all the way right now because the fender is in the way, but it does have a C in the code, which means it was Canadian built. Now the 4-speed, my brother did that. He put that in there. This originally would have had, appears, a 3-speed on the column, and he put the 4-speed in and did a very rough job of doing that. I do know that in the back seat here there is a little fiberglass looking cover, and I also point out that this car had seat belts. So these seat belts went into pins on the floor back here. So right there, there's a loop on the floor. So it had like aircraft style seat belts in '64 as an option. That's pretty cool. Glad they're still here. I do see that there are 2 drive shaft halves or drive shaft pieces in here, and what that really tells me, which I already had a suspicion because I think my brother told me this, he had put a Lincoln Versailles, however you want to say it, rear end underneath it. So this has a disc brake rear end on it. I believe it is a Ford 9-inch, but it's got a disc brake rear end. So probably leave that in there, I think, at this point. I don't plan to change anything too much. Here's the front section of that rear end. So you can see it's got a bolt-on U-joint swivel there, and looks like it fits the car pretty good. So we'll stay with that. Some other things on this car: it has the extra trim down here on the wheel well arch. That's pretty cool. And I had hoped that this trunk lid was in good shape, but I was disappointed. Here's a custom key my brother made. I might have to keep that. But I was disappointed that the bottom edge of this trunk lid is rusted off. I don't know what I'm going to do with that just yet. Now these cars We're different in that you can remove the quarter panels. That's what those holes are for. They can lead to bolts that will allow you to unbolt the quarter panel. So that'll help in some of this, but some of this is going to have to be kind of handmade to patch this up, get it back into shape. I doubt they sell any of those pieces like that. Taillights, of course, chrome is bad. There's various pieces and parts in here. We've got some Studebaker hubcaps, which I assumed he was going to use. I don't know what else is in there. I have not gone through all this, but yeah, that's, well, you can even see, I think that's probably the original, more the original style or color down there. Yep. Look at that. There you go. Now you can see that original blue. Okay. Now, the other parts of this car that I don't know for sure what engine would have come in it. I have to, I'm not sure what engine would have come in this car. They would have had a 259 or a 289 option Studebaker engine. In '65, I think they started putting Chevy engines in them. And we looked it up, me and Roger were looking this up, and there's a P in the code down here. And apparently that P means that it is a 289 engine, and then the rest is kind of like a date code. But the PI threw me off. I don't know what that means. So if anybody has any input on that, PI 03920, and then here is another number 554B41 maybe. So there's that information. This is a basic VIN for this, and you see it says 64V-F4. Now on the real VIN plate it has VC, so that would have been more specific to this car, because the ones on the A-pillar are actually spot welded in stainless steel pieces. So this whole fender runs all the way down inside here. The inner fender and the outer fender are all one piece. This bracket is kind of weird. That's the alternator bracket, and it like bolts to the bottom side of the exhaust manifold. And Roger and I were looking this over, trying to figure it out, because they did things quite a bit different than I'm used to. And also not the right radiator, of course. Anyway, this car has a really weird steering setup. And just show you this. I don't know how well this shows up on the camera, but the steering arms, basically what would be like a tie rod, connect to a, I'm going to guess, an idler arm on the front of the main cross member, in front of the oil pan. So it's like a swing arm in the center that goes to each wheel. Really kind of weird. If you look at it, because we were looking at it from the top here going, what is that? Can't really see it very well from here, but it, yeah, it's different. Really different setup. Another weird thing is this setup. It almost looks like this has some sort of a kingpin build into this front wheel spindle. It's really just odd. I don't know if I like that very much. And I was looking at how close the tire is on this side and how close the tire is on this side, and there's something definitely off. I don't know what, but I'll have to figure that out and solve it, I guess. I might consider actually swapping out to a whole different suspension. I don't know yet. It does have a full frame underneath it, which is nice. It appears to be solid, but that's about it. You know, this car, I'm just going to call it Henry, because that was my brother's name, and also my dad's name. But Henry it is. So if I do any more videos on this, it'll be under the Henry playlist, and you're welcome to check it out. One more thing I may not have mentioned is some of this patchwork. Now, my brother was not a body man, but he knew how to weld, and he could patch stuff up. Obviously, this wouldn't be something I would normally do, but it held the car together for him, and I will have to remedy that. I don't want to leave those pieces in there. I'll probably remove all that, start over. So a bunch of little patches and stuff. You know, it is what it is, and I'll just have to deal with it as I dig further into the car. Okay, so some other things about this car. In the late 70s, early 80s, my brother was driving this car, and he actually had a supercharger on the front here, because you could option these Studebakers with superchargers. And that car, I don't know how he had it rigged up. I really don't. My memory tells me he had it rigged to some sort of a switch, kind of like a compressor on your AC unit. You know, it's switched off and on. And I know we were going down the road. I was probably 12, something like that, and sitting right there in that passenger seat. And we were flying down the road, and he reached over and he said, "You ready?" And I was like, "For what?" And he flipped the switch, and that car broke loose and went sideways on the highway. I was looking out the passenger window, just freaked out, because surely didn't expect that to happen. So that is a distinct memory I have for this car. And I do remember him driving it around. I remember him doing some really crazy stuff on the side. And I've said it before, my brother was incredibly strong. I can tell you for a fact, he took this car when it was in running driving condition. He could go to the back of it, squat down and grab the rear bumper and lift the whole back end of the car off the ground. He would get light underneath the back wheels. I've seen him do it. I saw him do it more than once, and I was always like dumbfounded. So I'm going to progress on this car off and on, try to find parts as I move forward, and we'll see how it turns out. I can tell you this, you know, this car does mean a lot to me, because it is a piece of my brother, let's say. And even at this point, I have not been able to allow myself to sit in the driver's seat. I haven't done it, and I know I'll get to that point, but I really am struggling with that concept of me sitting in that driver's seat. So, you know, that's how it is right now. But again, thank you all for watching. Thank you for following along on YouTube and Facebook and Instagram and TikTok and wherever else you can find me. If you would, leave a thumbs up and a comment. Keep following. And until next time, take care of yourselves. See ya.